Hey everybody, it's Heidi. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today's video is going to be my finished pages for September 2023. And I've got quite a few, so let's just get started. So first up, I have Jasmine Beckett Griffith's coloring book. This is her first coloring book. And I did a page in here. I did Angel of Starlight. And I did a video on this part of this, my very first color and chat, which you can find on my channel. So this page I did with Neocolor 2s as a base on her outfit, her hair, the background, and I think that was it. The wings too. And then on top of that I used Castle Art pencils for the shading and all of, refinement, all those details. And then I used Artex paint pens at the end for some highlights, and I used white Posca for that as well. And I used some stickles in the color Unicorn on the stars. So let's see if I can get some of that to show. Yeah, so there you see the sparklies. Just show you some of the details a little bit better. Yeah, so this is one of my two favorites for the month. Very happy with how this came out, and I used her original painting sort of as a guide. I didn't try to reproduce it exactly, which is kind of impossible anyway, but I went by it. I used the colors in her original painting as a guide for my coloring. So yeah, really happy with that one. That is in Jasmine Beckett Griffith's coloring book. And then the next one I have is in the official American Gods coloring book based on the novel by Neil Gaiman. And there's a TV show of this, at least one season. I haven't seen it. So I did this page, and this is a book that I haven't colored in before. It's got a lot of pages with people, like this, and large scenes, and I've just been a little intimidated by the, doing people. I don't really color people that often. So I picked this page. It seemed more approachable. And this is representing the Vikings coming to America and bringing their gods with them. The novel is kind of about, all the different American people and the places they came from and all the different gods that came with them. And yeah, that's part of the story anyway. So on this page I used Derwent ink tints as a base, and I used that on the whole page, all the different elements. I used Polychromos pencils, and I went over that Inktense base with the Polychromos to get more subtlety, more detail. There's a video on how I did, like a demo video on how I did the sky, part of the sky. I used a lot of white Posca, as you can see, like on the highlights on the birds here. I like how that came out. On the waves, I used acrylic paint on these waves here, sort of with a dry brush effect to get this like streaky white crashing waves look. I used a silver gel pen on the rain. Let's see if I can get that to show. Yeah, there you go. I thought silver would work well to represent the rain. What else did I use? Oh, I used some fine liner just to darken up some of the shadows, like on the ravens. Oops, sorry. Oops. Like in here, used some fine liner, and then I used a white pan pastel around the thunderbolts, kind of to get more of a little bit more of a glow. It's subtle, you can kind of tell. So I applied that with a small brush. And then after that, I sealed it with hairspray to make sure the pan pastel was fixed. And that is about it. So, but I'm really happy with how this page came out. I'm glad that I finally tackled a page in this book, and yeah, it's not really as daunting as you think once you just get into it and do it. So that is American Gods coloring book by Neil. Well, let's see, who did the illustrations? I don't know. I can't really see any illustrators off the top of those pages I just looked at, so I'm just gonna not mention it. And the next book that I did a page in was Dreamland by Renata Krauzik, and this was also a book that I hadn't colored in, although I got it not too long ago, maybe half a year ago or so. But I picked the very first page to do. So I used Neocolor 2s to base it again. And I just sort of scribbled on the base colors, sort of a light layer of that, and went over that with a brush and water. And then I used Polychromos pencils to go over everything and, you know, do the refining of the color. And I think that that is all I used in this page. I started with the houses. I knew I wanted them to be red, and then I was thinking about how to do the umbrellas, and I first was thinking to make it, extremely colorful, just like, random bright colors. But then I realized that these were sort of looking like hills, with fields on them that the flowers are on. So I decided to make them all shades of green, and I like that concept. I like how that came out with the pops of yellow. Yeah, so yeah, happy with that. That is in Dreamland by Renata Krauzik. And then the next page I did is in A Million Sweet Things by Lulu Mayo. This is the British version of A Million Kawaii Cuties. And I did this page. I used a Dollar Tree metallic marker, the Crafter's Square brand, the pink one, to do the background. I did the background first, and I really like how those work. Those are pretty great markers. And then I went over all these little cute guys with Colour colored pencils, and just tried to keep it to it's sort of limited color palette with the purples and pinks yellow, a little green, some light blue, and some gray with some black details. But yeah, let me bring it up a little. Oop, without bumping the camera, which I just did. Sorry. So this was fun to do. I did this in bits and pieces. Just did a couple little guys and then came back to it and did a couple more. And it just sort of grew slowly like that. So that was in A Million Sweet Things by Lulu Mayo. I did a page in The World Under the Microscope, The Land by Rita Berman. And I did this page in here. Was kind of still feeling summery at this point, earlier in the month. And I did this one with quite a few, used a few different mediums for this. I did a base of watercolors on not all of the page, but part of it. I did the green background, this leaf I used watercolors for, and I used polychromos pencils to do the shading on everything, and a hoo-hoo fine liner on different areas. I think I added dots on this butterfly with that, and not sure where else I used the fine liner. I used some Colory gold and silver paint. You can see that right there and right there. Silver here and the gold here. So that always adds a lot of sparkle. I love that. And pearlescent glitter glue, which I used on the wings of the bee and the dragonfly. So I used the pearlescent glitter glue first, and then I went over that with glossy accents. And I used it a little bit differently than how you usually use it. Usually you put it down in a layer and let it dry, but I just put some on the wings and then spread it out a bit with the brush. So you kind of get that glossiness, but in a thinner layer. And then I used distress ink all around the edge of the leaf. This pink is all distress ink, applied with a brush, like a makeup brush. And that is it. So here, this is another favorite for the month. I really like that. I like how the wings look. Yeah. So that was in The World Under the Microscope on Land by Rita Berman. And then I did a page in Cute Chibi Creature Coloring by Phoebe M. And this was a new book. I got it in the summer, sometime in the summer. And, in this book, I actually, I think, yeah, this was one of the first ones that I did after I came back from a long break of not coloring, so, and I really wasn't sure, what I wanted to do to start. So I pulled out this book, and then I actually just used a random number generator to pick my page. I do that sometimes. And this is what it came up with. So I did this cute little bear. I think it's a corgi, actually. That's how I see it. Corgi and roses. So I used a hoo-hoo marker, alcohol markers as a base for, all the main elements. And then I went over that with Arteza watercolor pencils and graphitints, Derwent graphitints, to do some of the shading and all these details in the rows. And I used a Tombow colorless blender to activate the pigments. That's how I got the lines like that. in the roses. And the shading, other than that, is polychromos, like probably in the corgi. And a little bit more in the roses and on the leaves. And I used a white Posca for, you know, the highlights. Tried to make the roses look glossy. And pencils also in the background. There's a light yellow. You can barely see it, but you know, in the background here and here, here. And then I used a gold paint pen to add some dots to make it just a little bit more magical. And yeah, so like how that came out. That's in Cute Chibi Creature Coloring by Phoebe M. And then I did a page in 50 Space Theme Miniatures by Camelia Angelkova. This is a new book. Came out this summer, I think. So I did a page in here. And I used Lemeshay marker, alcohol markers as a base for all the main stuff. And I used just a black Sharpie for the background. And Crayola pencils for the shading. And the robots and everything. It's a little bit subtle, but yeah, if I lift it up, you can kind of see better what I did. And then I used a white Posca for the highlights, to try to make everything look metallic. I used pearlescent glitter glue. There, you can kind of see that on the stars and the moon. It's a little bit shimmery. It's more subtle than Stickles, but you can still see the shimmer. And then this background wasn't here, this square. I drew that in because I wanted the space dark sky background, but I didn't want to do the entire page. And that looks like everything I used. So yeah, I kind of wish that I had made the robots a little bit lighter so that they stood out a bit better from the rocket, but I'm not too concerned. I still like it a lot. It was a really fun page to do. That's in 50 Space Theme Miniatures by Camelia Angelkova. And my kitty is making sounds in the background, if you can hear that. I don't know what she wants. Oh, uh-oh. No. She was about to sit on something she shouldn't. And this is Enchanted Forest by Joanna Basford, obviously. I did this page, and I was looking through this book trying to get ideas for what to color next, and I saw this page, and this idea just came to me to do with just outlining all the lines in gold with a dark background. So then I decided to do the color first. So I did all this color is Distress ink. Just did, you know, with a makeup brush, just applied it like that. Very light. It's still light, but it was lighter than this, and I went over it with pencil at the end. But yeah, light layer. And then I used a Bic metallic marker in gold to do all the lines, or those spaces. They're lines and spaces, I guess. And then I did the black Posca background, which is a little streaky if you look closely. I won't bring it up too close. And then I used Castle Art pencils just to do a little bit of refining in the leaves and flowers and mushrooms and stuff. So I'm pretty happy with how that one came out. And Enchanted Forest by Joanna Basford. And then I did a page in Coloring Tattoo by Malakara and Gail. And this is one that I hadn't colored in yet either. So I did this page with the oh, what do you call these? They call it Reloj de Arena. What do you call this in anyway, my brain is not working apparently. It'll come to me. Yeah, so I did this page in alcohol markers. I think it was Lemeshay. I need to look at my little notes. Yeah, Lemeshay markers. I used oil pastel, Mangyo Gallery oil pastel for this peach background here. I just scribbled it on, and then I went over it with a Q-tip. And I don't know if I can show, I guess you can see that, what I did. Yeah, so that was the background. I shaded everything with Castle Art pencils. I used some chalk pastels in the corners, some yellows here, and just applied that with a cotton ball. Very light, so you probably can't even see that really. And a gold paint pen for some of the other details, like over here, and the stars, and just to add a little bit more sparkle to it. And then I sealed it with hairspray, and to seal in the oil pastel, make sure that was fixed. And then I decided to try and see if it was like a workable fixative. So I went back over with some pencil, and it worked actually. So you can go on top of hairspray and do more work on the page. And let me just pull out that hairspray because I don't think I've shown that. So this is one that I used. I tried another one first and it smelled terrible. So this is my second try. I just picked this up in the supermarket and it smells really good. I mean, any hairspray will work, but I just rejected the first one because it was just horrible smelling. This one smells good. So any hairspray that you have, if you want to use that as a fixative, it works and it acts as a workable fixative. At least that one. So that was excellent. And that page was in Coloring Tattoo by Malakara and Gail. And then I did a page in 100 Amazing Patterns by Jade Summer. I did this page, which I really love how it came out. I used Lemeshay markers as a base, alcohol markers. I used a lot of white and black paint pens. I know I used white Posca, but black, I might have used a different brand for the black, for all the little dots that you can see. And then I used gel pens for some of this purple down there. And I don't think I used any pencils for shading on this page. I decided to go with the little dots instead of doing shading. And then I used Dragonfly glaze to go over some of this dark purple around the outside. And that. Look at how cool that looks. I love that dragonfly glaze. That is awesome. It's just like a paint. It's like, is it folk art? I think it might be folk art. It looks like one of those little paint. It's like that tall, you know, like the little craft paints that you get. And so that was that one, and 100 Amazing Patterns by Jade Summer. I did a page in Color It Mandalas. This is volume 1. And I did this page, which was one of the first ones I did during the month. I was feeling very experimental. I started out with a Distress ink base. So all this in the background, the light purples and pinks, all that is Distress ink. And then I went over and did some of the line work, everything with ultrafine Sharpies. I used gelatos for some of the shading in here. I used polychromos pencils. I used gel pens. I used some this blue, that really shiny blue right there. That is the Pentel Sparkle Pop. And a lot of other metallic gel pens in there for the dots and some of the lines. And then I used a Jelly Roll glaze for some of it. These gray areas right here, they're shiny, but not as shiny as this. So that is Jelly Roll glaze. And then I used glossy accents in the middle to do these very shiny areas. And then in the background, I used folk art color shift paint, acrylic paint, and I did 3 layers just on the white background. And so even 3 layers ended up looking kind of patchy and streaky like this. I mean, it looks cool when you look at it in the light, but it looks kind of patchy. I mean, I don't mind it now. 3 coats was okay, but what I really should have done, and I only figured this out after watching Doodle Robot's video on this paint. I don't remember exactly what video that was, but she talks about doing a layer of regular acrylic paint as a base before you put on the color shift so that it doesn't look as streaky like this. So what I should have done is put down a layer of blue first and then done the color shift, but you know, I'll know for next time. So there's this mandala. The process was very fun. I liked the outcome. All in all, yeah. And that was in Color It Mandalas, Volume 1. And I pulled out this book, Geometric Interlude, Volume 3. I have Volumes 1 and 2, which I have colored in quite a bit. This is by Kyle Wood. He's an artist. He does, I don't know how many coloring books he has, but he does paintings, and I think primarily paintings. He's an interesting guy. But yeah, I hadn't done anything in here. The pages are like this, like a lot of geometric stuff. Unique. They're not like, you know, everything that you find in the geometric coloring book world. So I flipped to this page as I was looking through. It's called Baroque Intentions, and I saw animals popping out at me, and so I decided to just go with it and color the animals. So I saw a dog or some kind of dog-like creature here, and then some kind of bird here. So this looks like maybe like a falcon or an owl, not an owl, a falcon or a hawk or some kind of bird like that. So I colored it so that they would pop out. I used Lemmache markers, alcohol markers, and Castle Art pencils for the shading, just to try to create some depth. If I could show that a bit. Some of the detail. But yeah, I ended up being really happy with this very vintagey color scheme. Very 70s feels to me, but yeah, I like these little animals. That was in Geometric Interlude, Volume 3 by Kyle Wood. And then I did a couple pages in Balance by Angie Grace. This is Volume 1 of her Mandala series. And I did this page, which was with Stettler 320s, the double-ended felt tip markers, and Castle Art pencils. No, not Castle Arts, Marco Ruffines, for mostly the light colored backgrounds and some of the shading. So like this light colored green here, these light purples here, that was pencil. And then I did, you know, a little bit more of the shading, if you can see, like on those gems. And I started out with a palette from the Color Cube to get me started, and I had to add some more colors as I went along. And then I did this page, which was inspired by Doodle Robot's, I don't remember what she calls it, like coloring inspirations, prompts or something. The black and white one. She just did a video on this. But yeah, I thought that looked like a really fun idea, and I had some time to fill sort of before leaving for a vacation, so I just took out a Micron pen and did this one. And this book is really great for black and white, or any of her books are, so if you're interested in that idea, check out her books, because you can really do whatever you want with that, with black and white in here. Yeah, so that was that one. And Balance by Angie Grace. And then the last page is in the reverse coloring book Mindful Journeys by Kendra Norton. And I did a page in here. I did this page. So, you know, maybe I should have taken a picture of what this looked like before I colored it, but didn't. I used black paint pen and white paint pen and a little bit of gold too, gold paint pen. And then I used a pit pen. There's some more of the gold. I used a pit pen where you see the really finer lines, like here. And I like that effect of the heavier black lines and the light lines. Yeah, so all I did was outline on this, and all the color was already there. So that was extremely fun. I love these books. I love coloring these. Yeah, so there was that, and that was in the reverse coloring book Mindful Journeys by Kendra Norton. And then I have one more thing to show you. This was not coloring, but it's related enough, so I figured I'll just show you. So this was something This is just an abstract that I did on watercolor paper. So I just taped it off so that I had a nice border. And then I used watercolor with a brush, and I just put splatters all over the paper. So all this little stuff in the background, the watercolor splatters, did that first. And then I added some acrylic paint dots. So the purple, these green dots here, those were just acrylic paint, and this was after everything was dry. And then I used, I think I have it on the back actually. Let me pull that out. Acrylic paint dots, and then I used black Posca and white Posca to do the lines, and then a gold paint pen for some of the other stuff, the other lines and dots and things. And I just kind of kept adding elements until I was happy with it. And yeah, I ended up being happy with it. So yeah, so that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I did in September 2023. I hope you had a fabulous month of coloring yourself and have a wonderful October. Yeah, so I'll see you in the next video. And again, thank you so much for watching. Bye.